Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Ham Radio Crash Course for Friday. As always, Friday, at least when I can make it Friday. Guys, wow. It was a good week. I actually took yesterday off and got to go to Disneyland with Edison. Well, Ben was at school. Sorry he couldn't go. But Leia ended up taking him after school, too. So it was funny. I was at Disneyland during the day with Edison, and she was at Disneyland at night with Ben, which is hilarious. But yeah, all right. So we got a jam-packed show. I'm gonna change the format up a little bit. I hope this works out, but we're gonna try some things, and that's the fun of all of this. So we're talking digital modes, right? So if this is the first time coming to the Ham Radio Crash Course, I've done a technician series, which link will be in the description for that, and I've also done now this is part 5, 6 of the general license. So we're working our way through the ARRL handbook, but today we're going to splash in some practice tests. So we're actually going to go through the digital questions that are going to be in the test. So if you don't already, go download the ARRL practice app. That's what I recommend. I'm showing you this view, right? This is my normal camera talkie view, because then I've got my desk right view where I've got my book, but we're on 3 cameras now. I've got a third camera, so I can splash around with all kinds of fun stuff. Case in point, I can now do WSJ plus my radio at the same time, so you can see them concurrently as I operate digital mode. So hopefully that will be useful as we move forward with today, chapter 6, digital mode. So ideally, how this is going to work is I'm going to talk about some of the high points that are in the book. If you have this book, I recommend that you read the details a bit fuller if that's something that you're interested in, and that will be helpful, okay? So, what else we got to talk about? Well, as always, we say we're moving forward with ham radio, and this is just one aspect of it. Maybe you're not, maybe you're new to digital modes. That's okay. Digital mode is basically where we connect our radio to the computer, and the computer does some of the heavy lifting, right? So that's awesome because it can be very low bandwidth. It can be very low in the noise, and the computer has much better ears, I guess you can say, than us humans do, particularly with the way we modulate sound in our voices and transmit that way. So digital modes are really, really good if you have, maybe you're a QRP guy, or you are just kind of a younger person. It seems like young people really like digital. Younger people do pretty well with digital. Yeah. So, all right. Moving forward with radio, though, I had one thing I want to talk about. I'm getting ready for field day, which I'm going to start a series of videos on my field day gear loadout, and it's going to be broken up into sections. The section I'm dealing with right now is power. I want to do emergency power. I want to classify as an emergency station. So that can mean I can use a generator, which I feel is, it's not the cheater way out of it, because running a generator all night long, can be a little annoying for the neighbors or whomever's around you. So I kind of want to offset that with some battery power. So I was thinking of doing solar with some battery. I've got that Dakota Lithium. That's a 10 amp hour battery. That's part of the problem. 10 amp hours on that 7300 won't last me very long if I'm transmitting 100%, even 50%. What do we got going on in the chat? We got Hunter. We got Jamie from Florida. We got David from Virginia. What's up? Hunter asks, what is the closest repeater, and is it Echo Link enabled? You can look up the WINS system, WINS WINS system in California, and that might work. That might be the closest one to me. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm usually on the Santiago Peak or Spark, SPARCK repeater is the one that's the only one I really go on. Those are the local guys, and I'm a really straight shot to Santiago Peak, so I kill it with Santiago Peak. Okay, so what else? Oh, wanted to throw this out there. Oh, you know what? I do have to go back and mention this, because I don't want people to forget. If you are in the market for a battery, the Dakota Lithium people, dakotalithium.com, they have a coupon code, HOSHNASI. If you go there, you get, I think, $5 to $10 off whatever your purchase is of a battery. If you need a battery, if you need a kind of a battery to work through field day, or if you're doing QRP, it's really good for that. Also, I sorted my field day laptop problems. I bought a used Lenovo T430 off of Amazon. I think it's like $250. It's an i7 that comes with Windows 10 preloaded, no bloatware, zero bloatware, and it runs great. I've never actually owned a Lenovo, or before that an IBM when they were IBM owned ThinkPad, that whole thing. It's great. Totally recommended. Okay, what else? All right, Brew Crew. I'm almost done with my May no drinky. Ooh, look at that logo. That's cool. I'm doing no drinking in May, and so I'm drinking other brews. The brew today is kombucha. Kombucha contains, I think, trace parts of alcohol because it is brewed, and so there is going to be some alcohol byproduct. This is Health Aid Kombucha with ginger and lemon. My wife used to brew kombucha. If you've got a taste for it, it's pretty good stuff. A little funky, though. Got a vinegar taste to it. Ginger lime's really good if you got a bit of a cold. Got something going on with your throat, keeps you all clear. For me, talking all for an hour or more is going to be really helpful. So that's good. Okay. We're gonna wait to the end to do the ham radio crash course shacks. Want to remind people that if you go to the ham radio crash course Facebook group, make sure to post a picture of your ham shack and tag it with hashtag HRCC. That's the ham radio crash course shacks. Okay, and as always, Discord. I'll be heading to Discord after the stream tonight, which is going to be great. And I always go there and answer questions. We do it live with voice. If you want to talk to me, no problem. You can do that. Okay, so what are we talking about with digital? I kind of already covered it a bit, but digital modes are... Oh, I can get my phone out of the way. Digital modes are where your computer is basically creating tones and signals that are being pushed through the radio, and the radio is then modulating them and blasting them out. And on the receive side, the radio is receiving the RF, demodulating it, sending it to the computer, and the computer is decoding is a pretty open term, those codes, and displaying text or an image of text, so there's all kinds of different versions of digital, but the key thing to remember is that they are found mostly, and this is what this highlight is saying here, they're found mostly in the lower segments, the lower CW area of the HF band. That is where you need to operate from. For example, 20 meters, most PSK signals. PSK31 is possibly one of the larger digital modes. It was the most popular until FT8 came along. FT8 has completely thrown everything to the wayside. That includes PSK31, that includes CW, and that includes single sideband. There are so many people that are using FT8 right now. It is insane. It is crazy. In fact, let me show you this really quick just to give you an idea of what's going on. I'm on 30 meters right now, and 30 meters, all these little upper right-hand corner, these little squares, those little square boxes on that waterfall, those are all people talking back and forth. And this is just in my receive area. Case in point, I've been playing around with it for the last hour or so. This is my propagation kind of sphere, that half circle. That is my area of effect of my radio and how I'm talking. And I vacillate between 30 watts and 50 watts. 30 watts, 25 to 30 watts is where a lot of people operate from. And they go up to 50 if they really want to get that contact. And I have gone all the way to 100% to make contacts to like Cuba and stuff. So, okay. What do I mean by that? Well, this is a good point too because it's part of the test. When you talk on single sideband and you're talking, your voice has lots of ups and peaks and valleys and lows, so the radio isn't functioning at 100% all the time. Unless you just pick up the radio and go like, ah, and like try to modulate a single tone, your radio kind of has chances where it can relax and cool off and not be maxed all the time. Digital doesn't work that way. A lot of digital modes are 100% balls to the wall. It's going to use all the power you tell it to. So if you're on a 100-watt radio and you use all 100 watts, sometimes that can harm certain radios. Some of the newer radios like the 7300 doesn't have a problem with that, although you generally don't do that when you are using things like FT8, which is supposed to be kind of a lower powered digital mode. Digital modes can be confusing, so if there are any questions while I'm going along, go ahead and ask them, and if you're thinking it, other people are probably thinking it too. I want to point this out as we're moving along. This is just a good piece of information just so you understand it. That black little hump that's coming across the screen, and it's going from, I guess, it's going from here this way across. That's the darkness. That's the sun going down. That's the gray line. I'm in California, and that gray line is almost at the point where it's going to hit me. Now, I've mentioned this before on the Ham Radio Crash Course, but you can get some seriously good contacts during the when you're in the gray line. So I'm going to try and capitalize on that when we get to that point. Good? Okay, let's continue. There we go. All right. Hey, Fan TV, I was just talking to you on Discord. Glad you made it over, buddy. Okay, so this is important. I'm going to mention this because, does it say it? No, it's going to say it later. Anyway, for example, 20 meters PSK signals are found near 14.070. So 070 is on the low point of the band. 20 meters starts at 14.000. RTTY and other digital modes of signals found above. Okay, segments of HF bands where you'll find signals of the popular digital modes are listed. And there is a good table here, very nice table, that, ooh my god, sorry about that, that covers where the different signals pick up. So, let me make a point about that too. You need to use the right software for whatever it is you are trying to work. If you are doing PSK31, it's going to be FLDigi. If you're doing, and it's FLDIGI, FLDigi, all one word. And that's available for PC, Windows, and Mac. I'm sorry, PC, which means Windows, Linux, and Mac. So it's pretty much available everywhere. If you're doing FT8 or Whisper or JT65, I think it's called. I've never used JT65. That is WSJT-X, which is what I use predominantly. I used to use FLDigi all the time. FLDigi and PSK31 was like my go-to digital mode. Not so much anymore since FT8 has kind of taken over. But anyway. Okay. There is lots of kind of interesting details that are not that important. If you want to know the background story, go ahead and get the book and you can read more into it. But we will cover more of the questions today and trying to explain a little bit about them. Very quickly though, RTTY, RTTY stands for radio teletype. Okay, it was designed for a teletype printer or teleprinter, something that you could actually shoot out, something that you could read, kind of like they used to do for telegraphs and, you know, Western Union and the other, you know, ticker tapes for the stock market, stuff like that. PSK31 is attractive because it's a very narrow bandwidth. Remember we talked about narrow bandwidth. So PSK31 was kind of like a go-to mode, digital mode. Why is this not focusing? Just noticing that now. There we go, buddy. Okay, hopefully you guys can read that okay. I hope you can. Patrick says, funny you mentioned younger people liking digital earlier. There are a couple people in our local repeater talking about how the younger people are interested. How to get, if it's like text messaging. It's like text messaging. It's like a chat room. That's the way to go, man, is get people, show them how you can interface the computer with the radio and they can do one-to-one communications. That's what ham radio is about. Ham radio is about communicating one-to-one without anybody going in between. At least we do more of the going one-to-one and then connecting to the internet so it shoots out over somewhere else. And that's fine, but the core of it is the one-to-one. Okay? So, Pactor, Winmore, these are all different types of digital modes. There's tons and tons of types of digital modes. Miscellaneous, I like how it says miscellaneous, and JT65 is here. I'm not going to cover most of those because you will, if you want to become interested in those, you will probably find somebody who's interested and they will talk to you about it. There's not a lot of questions dealing specifically with some of the miscellaneous types, so we're not going to spend that much time talking about it. We'll point out that JT65 and JT9 are very effective at communicating in the presence of noise and ionosphere distortion at extremely low signal levels. That is the point of JT9 and JT65, which was the mother and father of FT8. It was designed to work extremely low in the noise, which is very nice from a communication mechanism. Why do people like CW? Because CW can go really far. It's small bandwidth. Guess what? JT9, JT65, great bandwidth. Works very similar to CW. In fact, yeah, Joe Taylor, JT65. Okay. I really like Whisper. Whisper is a receive-only beacon packet that you send out. And whomever can receive that packet is basically how well your radio is performing, your antenna is performing. So it's a really, really nice mode to use if you want to get a concept of how well your radio is performing, aside from using like a reverse beacon. And that is true. Al W says Olivia is very good in noise. You can get copy when you can't even see a signal on the waterfall. Yeah, totally true. So JT65, JT9, and Olivia's pretty good. FT8's not all that bad either. Okay, so a couple of things to cover is digital basics. This is more textbook. What is digital all about? Okay, a bit. This is the same if you understand computers or if you understand digital modes. It doesn't matter. A bit is a 0 or a 1. It's a binary representation of a piece of data down to the smallest chip of data, which is a bit. The bit rate is the number of digital bits per second sent from one computer system to the other. How many bits you are sending per second, which is not the same as baud. Baud is the number of symbols per second sent from symbols per second that are sent from one computer system to the other, also known as symbol rate. So bits become symbols, and you can only send so many symbols per second, etc., whatever. So bits and baud are not the same thing, or bit rate is not the same thing as baud rate. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Oops, sorry, I bumped it again. Okay, it breaks down into frequency shift keying and phase shift keying. Okay, frequency shift keying, phase shift keying. There are different types of ways that the data is packaged up, modulated, shipped out. One of those ways is frequency shift keying, which would be PSK, right? PSK is phase shift keying. Makes sense. Phase shift keying 31, I believe, is when there are 31. It'll be here in a second. But anyway, quick note on this because it's a question we're going to look at. The frequencies in a two-tone FSK signal are called mark and space. That's a question. Space represents 0 and mark represents 1. So examples of FSK are going to be RTTY is a prime example of FSK. PSK example is obviously PSK31. Now, quick note about both of these, all of these. You're operating in your radio in single sideband when you are operating digital modes. Now, this book has a question that I kind of disagree with. I'll see if it's coming up here. It mentions that you should use lower sideband when using RTTY. So I'm not a big user of RTTY, so I don't really want to comment on that. But it has been my experience that generally you use upper sideband for digital modes. And that includes digital modes that are below the 10 megahertz side of the frequency bands, which includes 40 meters and 80 meters. Now, RTTY uses lower. I get that. But it is important to note that there is no hard and fast rule that governs you must use lower or upper sideband for any of the applications you run. Case in point, WSJTX always uses upper sideband. Regardless of which frequency band you are in, it always uses upper sideband. Now, the point that I bring this up is the question in the book says lower sideband. So just answer the question the way they want it answered. It's not a philosophical question, even though the answer is technically one that is philosophical, because it is a suggestion to use upper or lower sideband. It is not a hard and fast requirement at any time, and that includes voice. With that said, you're going to get a lot of flack if you're operating lower sideband in 20 meters, for example. Just so you know. Okay. So radio teletype, baud dot, an internal bit. We can skip that. We'll get that when it comes. More RTTY conversations on HF are conducted on 45 baud and most common shift between. No, we don't need to know that. See, that's just a memory thing. We'll get to that when we get to the practice test, which we will jump to relatively quickly. Just want to make sure we get all the points out of the whole thing. Important note with PSK31. PSK31, the way a lot of these digital modes have a limited character set. Some are only lowercase. They don't use uppercase. PSK31 does use uppercase. And so if you have caps locks on and you spell out an entire sentence and it's all capital letters, that's going to take longer to process than if it does you to have lowercase. So one of the questions in the test is, make sure that you are operating in lowercase most of the time. There's not a whole lot of reasons to use uppercase. Good point, Tom. Good point, Tom. Tom says, when you disagree with the question in the ARRL handbook, do not forget there is a listing of errata in that edition. There are several mistakes in the book. Good to keep that in mind. All right. The most popular PSK, we mentioned phase shift keying, is PSK31. And yeah, that stands for 31 is the symbol rate of the protocol. Actually, 31.25 baud. Important note for those that are old enough. 14.4K, 36.6, 56K, that's baud, right? That's a modem term for baud. Okay, so when you mention stuff like that, that is what you're talking about. You're talking about the symbol rate. Very good, very good. All right, packet. So packet radios, packet is used a lot for VHF, UHF. There are email systems. There are all kinds of things in place that use packet. Oh, Hunter says, well, going to bed. Oh, take it easy, Hunter. Sorry we're up so late for you, man. Okay, so packet is like APRS is a type of packet. It's a send out a piece. Oh, hey, Zach, what's up? Thanks, Zach, for hopping in. If you want, throw that Discord link in there just so people know where to go after the chat. All right. So with packet, the way it works is, and they've got this cool little box here, you've got a header and you've got data and then a trailer. So what happens is the header contains important information like either destination or who it's from or the status or error correcting data. Now, error correcting data is really important for a lot of stuff, so important to remember that. And then the trailer contains also error detection in the form of a CRC number, which we use in a lot of software programming, and it's cyclic redundancy check. It is an algorithm you use when you're sending out a block of data. You do a CRC on it, you get a number. You transmit that number at the end in the trailer of the packet, and that tells the receiving side, when they perform the cyclic redundancy check, that what they received matches the number you sent. Bam, Bob's your uncle, it was a valid packet. There are a lot of YouTube videos on packet radio. Packet's really interesting for those that have VHF, UHF radios. There may be packet servers in your neighborhood, and with it, you can use your VHF, UHF radio with some hardware help. You need a TNC, which is kind of like a go-between modem device for a computer, and you can actually transmit out data and email people via your, I think you can even use a Baofeng, to be honest. Anyway. Okay. So a lot of these questions will hit when we go to the practice test. Okay. Good. They make a note of it. I'm glad they did. Receiving and transmitting digital modes. I forgot, even though I've already read through this. Most digital modes on HF are transmitted as lower sideband, except for JT65, JT9, which are USB. Now, so that may be an errata because I've definitely used PSK31 with upper sideband. So take that for what it's worth. Mistakes in any of these important. Okay, don't need to worry about that. Definition of digital mode, symbol rate, so that we've already covered that. The book he is... Oh, so yeah, I'm using the ARRL General License Manual for ham radio. This is the 8th edition, which should get you through June 30th, 2019, right there. Okay, so the question pool is going to change at that time. This is the second level of ham radio licensing. So if you are interested in that, there's a link in the description that you can go check that out on Amazon. It's an affiliate link for me, which means I get like a finder's fee for getting you to go, but it doesn't cost you anything else or more to that. So, bit of note on the kombucha. Now that I'm drinking through some of it, if you like ginger, you'll like it. It's got a limey taste that, with a vinegary flavor, that it's kind of like a more bougie lime Gatorade, but it's really refreshing and it keeps the phlegm down when you talk a lot. With that said, I'm not really desired to drink much now that I'm not drinking for May, except when I do these ham radio crash courses. I would really like to have a beer right now. It's very, I don't know, I feel like we're hanging out. I just want to sit down with you guys and have a beer and enjoy myself, but we're almost there. I'll go back to probably having a couple beers on the weekend with you guys when we do the crash course, but anyway. There's a lot of how-to tips that I have done a live stream about on digital. I made some notes that we're going to talk to before we switch over to the practice tests. There's all kinds of best practices when it comes to running digital that's not going to be in the test or ask, and so I hope I don't confuse people by hitting some of that stuff. But I think it's important because you're gonna want to play with digital. It's the way everything's going. I'm not saying don't do any other stuff, but you're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna enjoy digital anyway. Okay. Gateway mailbox stations. We already mentioned you can do email via packet, and that's good to note. This is purely a rules question, so I will read this and we will remember it because we have to. So the unmanned gateway and mailbox stations, that's like a repeater that's waiting to receive packets. It's not a human. There's no human behind it, so it's kind of like an automatic station. Remember when we talked about automatic stations on the technician class license? Same kind of thing here. Because they respond without requiring a human control operator, the FCC classifies them as automatically controlled digital stations. As such, they are restricted to certain segments of the amateur band. Automatically controlled stations are only permitted to use RTTY and data modes below 220 megahertz, 1.25 meters, and in the band segments listed in Table 6.3, which is here. Which, if you look 2 meters, 144.1 to 148, which is like the whole thing. So, okay, great. And no 70 centimeters. Okay, never mind. No 70 centimeters. I didn't realize that was the case. Anyway, for this part, I'm going to switch things up a bit. Let me change over to show you my radio. Okay, we are looking at, in fact, let's get zoomed in on my glorious 7300. So this bar here is the Waterfall. Now this is asked, there are questions about this in the test. You use the Waterfall. So the Waterfall is time is the water flowing down. And interesting things that happen like voice or data or CW are going to be spikes and vertical marks on the Waterfall. I'm on 30 meters right now. I'm going to change to something with less noise and see if that shows you something different. So I just switched to 40 meters, and you're going to see a big change. 40 meters, less noise, and you see that big spike? That's FT8. And if we... all that screaming is digital. That is FT8. And in fact, I'm going to show you what it looks like live as it's being decoded here. Okay, so the purple and pink bars on the left is received data and packets that I have coming in. And this has its own waterfall, which is the top part. And we're just seeing these chunks and packets, not packets, but chunks of data coming in. So the waterfall is used as a visual representation of where the data is and where people are talking. Now, understand, there's a black bar there on WSJTX that says 7.074. That's the frequency we're operating on. So all of this digital stuff is happening in the 0.00 area of this frequency space. All these little squares are all happening within this hertz area. The 500 through 2500 hertz in and around the 7.074 on the upper sideband. Okay? Hope that makes sense. Okay, let me mute this again. Alright, so I hope that makes sense. The waterfall is kind of like... So, not only is it important for digital, it's also extremely important and useful for operating any kind of modes. And Carter Vlogs, taking general June 16th. Good luck. You should do well. It's harder than technician. No question. But it's not that much harder. So, is it just... Oh. Well, we just got to get the camera closer. That's what we got to do here. Is that what's the problem? I don't like this focus thing. Come on, focus. See, if I get it close, it just pops. Looks great. But then if you start pulling it away, it goes fuzzy. Oh, these Logitech cameras, man. So the problem with the Logitechs is you can only control like one camera at a time, and I have it set currently to control my radio. Oh, it's working. Okay, good. All right, so we'll just use it like that then. Okay. So third-party traffic, there's a note here. We're just going to cover it. All FCC rules about third-party messages apply to digital transmissions. This includes all information, including in email, digital modes, web pages, and transmitted via amateur radio. Just remember it. That's important. Well, it's not that important, but they want you to know. So it's important to them. They who make the test. Okay. Let's see. That looks a little bit better. Carter Vlogs, yes. I will be on Discord. Okay, so that pretty much covers digital. This last part we'll cover in the practice test. So I got something for that too. Anyway, remember, General Class License Manual produced by the ARRL. And big shout out to Hamvention. Hamvention is happening right now. Right now. In fact, it's probably after party time for everybody that's in Xenia. Used to be in Dayton, Ohio. It's now in Xenia, Ohio. So let's scroll over here. Okay, so I am I'm using the ARRL general question test, the practice test. Is that... What is that black mark that's behind my head? Does anybody else see that? Like that's right here. That's running along horizontally. It's kind of funny. Anyway, won't worry about it. So we're going to go to review question pool. Wait, practice question pool. And we want G2E, which is going to be operating procedures for digital. So first question. We already know this because we spent I think I mentioned it twice. Which mode is normally used for sending RTTY signals via a frequency shift keying with a single sideband transmitter? Transmitter, lower sideband. Let's see if I can jump out of here really quick. Did that get rid of it? That's weird. What is that? Oh, I know what that is. That's funny. That's real funny. So I am green screened. So that's what's causing that. Very interesting. So this propagation's got some defect to it where it's showing my popping over my head. So let me move that really quick. I didn't see that when I set this up. Live editing a video. It's super interesting. Yeah, that was weird. Anyway. Okay, so the lower sideband. Got the green. We're good. Next. How can a Pactor modem or controller be used to determine if the channel is in use by other Pactor stations? Unplug the data connector temporary and see if the channel busy indicator is turned off. Put the modem or controller in a mode which allows monitoring without a connection. Transmit UI packets several times and wait to see if there was a response. Send the message, is this frequency in use? So there's a couple of things. You want to, just like anything else, you want to receive first, right? You want to receive, make sure there's nobody operating. So it's either going to be B, or you want to check and say, is this frequency in use? But you'd still listen first. So I think it's B. It is B. So that means you want to receive first, you want to listen first, and that's the important thing. What symbols may result from other signals interfering with Pactor or Winmore transmissions? Frequent retries or timeouts, long pauses in message transmission, failure to establish a connection between stations, and all of these are correct. I think all of those are correct. Let's see. It is. And remember I said, when you did the technician, all of these choices, all of the above, is not always the correct one. So keep that in mind. Sometimes I like to trick you. You gotta be careful. What segment of the 20-meter band is most often used for digital transmissions? So you got two options here that are the most correct, which is 1400 through 14050, which that's very low. So yeah, you could probably say that's not true, but it's truer than the other C and D, because that's where the phone segment takes over. So, well, I'm on, I just showed you WSJ. Oh, hey, Tom, thank you very much for the buck there, and the party light went off. Appreciate that, Tom. I think it's B, and it is B. FT8, right? FT8's on 7.074. So keep that in mind. Okay, next. What is the standard sideband used to generate JT65, JT9 digital signal when using AFSK in the amateur band? We know this is upper sideband, right? Yes. I know there's a lag and a delay, so if anybody has a question or clarification, go ahead and post it. I'll be happy to get to it. Interesting comments. People are talking about taking their tests and how they did. Oh, man. The Truth-Telling Mofo says, I live just south of where Hamvention is. I have to miss it due to work. Oh, that stinks. That stinks. What is the most common frequency shift for RTTY emissions in the amateur HF bands? See, this I don't know this. I didn't memorize this. Barry says, hey, Hosh, I passed my tech and general 2 days ago, impatiently waiting my call sign. Thanks for the inspiration. Yeah, that's awesome. Glad you got it. Glad you came to the crash course here and tell us. And if you're not already, go to the Ham Radio Crash Course on Facebook and make sure you post there. There's a lot of like-minded people who will give you a hearty congratulations for your effort. Now, I will ask a follow-on question to your mentioning that you got it. What is going to be your first radio, or do you already have a radio? If so, what's your next plan with Ham Radio? Carter Vlog says it's B. I think that we'll go with it. Okay, Carter, one internet's to you. Medic Joe, Hosh, when are you usually on? I love your channel, but I'm a couple hours ahead. Oh, so normally my normal schedule is Fridays, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I guess that's 10 p.m. Your time if you're on the East Coast. That's when we live stream. Usually I always do that. The only times I change it are when I have an event on a Friday that I need to move it forward, and I usually move it forward to a Thursday. I did a special live stream with Dominic from the Discord, who is Aries. He's a member, actually he's the vice president of his Aries group. So that was special, and I'll do that occasionally. And I try and put out a non-stream video once a week, and I did that with something. What did I post? Something earlier this week. Radio review? Anyway, I've got a video coming out either Monday or Sunday on when I went to Ham Radio Outlet to pick up my 7300, which is pretty cool. It was a pretty fun little happenstance there, so I hope you guys enjoy that. But yes, it is 7 p.m. on Fridays. Okay, thank you, Carter. It is B. What segment of the 80 meter band is most commonly used for digital transmissions? So 80 meters starts at 37, 3.5, sorry. So it's not going to be the 3500 to 3525, and I think it's A. 3570 to 3600. Okay, just like FT8 on WSJTX. There you go. Al W is coming with the knowledge. He says RTTY has two peaks in the signal. The frequency shift is the distance between those peaks. That makes perfect sense because if you see it, it's like little dots and they move in and out. So there's your frequency shift key. Okay. And that would be looking at the waterfall, going back to the waterfall talk. Now, I got to be honest with you, digital modes are still very interesting. And if you have friends, or maybe we can work this out in the Ham Radio Crash Course or on Discord is where I try and set up QSOs when I want to do that. You are much better off working it out with somebody you can talk to live and say, hey, let's go try this. Like slow scan television. It's a lot of fun, but it's hard to find people just happenstance out on the waves. You can get lucky, but it's not that often. Further, everybody's on FT8. So if you want to explore some of the other modes, you're going to have to get creative on who you find and how you meet up with them, right? So recommend using the Discord link, recommend using the Ham Radio Crash Course on Facebook. You can talk to people on the repeaters that you're normally on because it can be difficult to get people to want to, I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to find. In what segment of the 20 meter band are PSK31 operations most commonly found? Okay. Interesting. In the middle of the CW segment near 14 at the top of the single sideband phone segment, no. At the bottom of the slow scan, no. Below the RTTY, so it's going to be C. We'll just, whoa, is it? Is it D? Yeah, it's, okay, so let's walk through that. In the middle of the CW segment, oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, so below the RTTY segment near 14.070. Okay, that's fine. In the middle, yeah, okay, that's fine. That makes sense. That's a really tricky question. Not really a waterfall on RTTY, more like an oscilloscope, yeah. It depends on how fast your waterfall is, too. How do you join contact between two stations using the Pactor protocol? Send broadcast packets containing your call sign while in monitor mode. Transmit a steady carrier until the Pactor protocol times out. Joining an existing contact is not possible. Pactor connections are limited to two stations. Send a NAC response continuously so that the sending station has to pause. So let me tell you about Pactor. I'll just throw it out there because you just should remember this and you don't have to mess with this per se. Pactor is a one-to-one. It's a two-party contact. And NAC is a not received response between two-party conversations. So there's an ACK and a NAC. An ACK is an accepting of a packet that says your CRC matches the packet or the body that I thought it would. So we're good. Here's an ACK. If it didn't, you say NAC and they resend. So you can't butt into a Pactor in the middle of discussion. So it's going to be C. You cannot. So don't. Cogito Aprendo. Take it easy, man. Looks like he's heading out. Okay, Y3M. Good call sign there. Yeah, it's a good call sign. A lot of DAWs in that call sign. Take it easy. Which of the following is a way to establish a contact with a digital messaging system gateway station? Send an email to the system control operator. Send QRL in Morse code. Respond when the station broadcasts its SSID. Transmit a connect message on the station's published frequency. It would be D, right? Because it's a automatic system. It's waiting to take an incoming message from you. What is indicated on a waterfall display by one or more vertical lines adjacent to a PSK signal? Okay. Waterfall display by one or more vertical lines adjacent to a PSK signal. Long path propagation, backscatter propagation, insufficient modulation, overmodulation. I think it's overmodulation. I'll go to the chat on this one, see if anybody wants to take a crack at it. I'm almost done with my kombucha here. I'll give you a piece of advice for kombucha. Leave the bottom. You don't need to drink all the bottom because there's sometimes an active growth culture in there. I call it the loogie. You don't want to drink the loogie. It's not like it's bad. It's just, which of the following describes a waterfall display? Hopefully, I covered all of this. Frequency is horizontal. Signal strength is vertical. Time is intensity. Frequency is vertical. Signal strength is intensity. Time is horizontal. So this is an easy one because we know time goes down. So you can just look for time is vertical. Hey, there's only one option. C. Okay? So frequency is horizontal. Signal strength is intensity. And that's that spike, right? Or the color, right? The color of the waterfall, depending on. So I can go back to my 40 meter example. Somebody on, I should mention this too. FT8 uses 15-second splits between transmissions. You transmit for 15 seconds, you stop, and then the other side transmits for 15 seconds. You stop, and the other side transmits for 15 seconds. So depending on what side of the conversation you're on, you're talking on one of those 15-second marks. So you can look at transmissions on FT8, and you can see what station what their strength is of signal. In this case, somebody that we're watching in this 15-minute window has a humongous station. In fact, I can show this to you. I'll show this to you visually. Let me do that right now. So at the very top of the screen where the waterfall is, you'll see a red horizontal line. The longer or wider that red horizontal line is, the more intense that signal is and the stronger that signal is. You don't need that much power when you're using FT8. In fact, a lot of people look down on that because when it's wide like that, that means you could be driving over the top of someone else. And in fact, that looks like exactly what's happening in that red line that's about to fall off the end of the waterfall. And yes, Patrick Dickey says some waterfall also use color as intensity. Very true. Okay. Which communication system sometimes uses the internet to transfer messages? Well, RTTY is digital HF. Aries is an emergency system in its own right. And Skywarn is a radio weather tracking system. Not system, but community group of people. They go out there and they watch weather patterns. So it's WinLink. Okay? And WinLink may be available in your area. So make sure you check that out. Somebody... CycleCamp said, is that like a weather map of bad weather? Sorry if I blasted you out. Caps lock's on. That's right. Yeah, WinLink. The Truth Telling Mofo says, got to clock in. I'll finish watching after on a break. Have a good night. Take it easy. Thanks for watching. WinLink. What could be wrong if you cannot decode a RTTY message or other FSK signal, even though it is apparently tuned in properly? The mark and space frequencies may be reversed. You may have selected the wrong baud rate. You may be listening on the wrong sideband. All of these choices are correct. In this case, I think it's also D. Wow. 2 for 2 on all of the above. Hawkeye, are you asking 30 watts the norm for FT8? Again, it's just a suggestion. And in no way is it required or whatever. Because, QRP guys only use 5 watts or less, right? Because think about it. You got a 10 watt transmitter like an KX3 or KX2. You may not want to run that thing at 100% PEP. Then you're gonna. I think you are behind, Hawkeye. You may want to refresh so you can catch up because I think you're way behind. You're like a question behind. But yes, you generally want to reduce transmit power, not only because it's like the gentlemanly thing to do, it's also could be harmful to some radios. Not so much the SDRs, but... Oh, and it looks like that's it. Well, okay. That is the end of that practice test. I think we will move on then. I will take any questions on digital. The digital chapter's probably the most straightforward chapter, and it's probably, well, the easiest chapter. And it's probably the one I have the greatest handle on. The other one is probably going to be the antenna one. Still going to be difficult for me, but we're going to have fun with that. I'm getting all kinds of notifications. Sorry about that on my phone. All right. Let's check what else we got going on. Let's switch it over back to what's going on. I'm gonna run some. I'm gonna run CW right now, while we're switching over. So I'm gonna call CQ, and enable. Looks like we are transmitting. Okay. What am I transmitting? 50. Okay, I'm at 50 watts right now. That's too high. We'll back it off a little bit. Okay, so I just called CQ, which can be seen down here, that little yellow bar. And we are now waiting. No response. The 31 stands for the cycle rate. Not bits per second. Symbols. It's the baud rate. Right? Did I get that right? Or did I switch it? I can look this up. Did I switch it? I don't think I switched it. Let's see. What's up, Luke? Symbol rate. 31. So I'm at the point now, personally, where we've gotten maybe through half of the book, and I'm starting to want to, like, do other things. There's no offense to the general license stuff. It's just I am getting the hankering to want to play around with other aspects of radio. I want to do a video on doing APRS with a Baofeng. I think that's hilarious. That's a lot of fun. Let's make this a little bit wider there so you can see. So I'll take some video ideas too. If you guys have any interest, please message me on Facebook. So right now I'm not getting anybody. And in fact, let me stop for a second. This whole screen is pretty dismal. So you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, what's going on? Well, let's find out what's going on. Let's go back to the web here. It looks like my propagations hasn't changed, but I haven't. It's been an hour, and this thing's set to an hour, and I don't think anybody's receiving me right now. So why don't we check out the band conditions? Get my keyboard back here. So it looks like 30, 40, 80, all of them are through the roof. So something else must be going on. Oh, we got a bunch of... I guess I spoke too soon. Because it just blew up. Look at all that pink and purple. So we just picked up Cuba. Let's call CQ, or let's reply. So we're going to go after a KG5 RPZ. And if you guys have the capability to do FT8, let me know. Let me know and I'll call CQ and you can try and reply to me. So it can be hit or miss. I guess that's kind of the fun of FT8 or digital modes in general. It's kind of like hunting or fishing. It's kind of, I mean, it's similar to CW and it's similar to single sideband. There's a lot of similarities between all of it. It's just a different way of communicating. And again, it's all about communication. Ooh, here's a good example. So see this red horizontal, all these red bars right here that I'm going up and down on? That's somebody who's really driving a hot signal. Patrick says, I see a lot of comments on the Baofeng splattering its transmissions over a lot of frequencies. If you have a spectrum answer, will have you tested this. I have not. So here's the thing about that. I'll make this comment and I'll leave it at that. The Baofeng failed at a pretty high bar of a test. It didn't fail in across the board. It failed in a pretty high volume of filtering. And so do most of the kit radios your dad built in the 80s and 90s. They also fail. Other radios fail. I'm not defending Baofeng. It is what it is. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not that upset about it. Guy at a club meeting used WSJTX software suite. I believe he developed the FT8 tech. He developed FT8 for WSJTX? If so, that's pretty cool. Yeah, no. So Cycle Camp, this is not CW. We are talking about FT8. It's a digital mode. So see, I'm not getting to this guy, so I will stop. So right now, everybody has a very high dB, 24, 15, 17, 23, 23, 20, 24. So those are people that would be like, well, you don't know. You don't know because they could have not so much power, and they could be close to me. Or they could have a big booming signal, and they're on the East Coast. So, did I look at the link? No. Did you send me a link? Did you send me a link? I don't have a link. Is it under ham help? Fan TV. Where did you send it? I don't know, buddy. You can tag me, Hoshnasi, and then you can like, oh, wait, I found it. Okay, no. So, yeah, you can't just like, you can throw the link up, but then you're expecting me to go find it, which I can do, but generally you can just tag me with an @ So let's look up this radio. I'm feeling generous. I can already tell you I'm not, So this is the Mini Mobile Radio 136, 174. Yeah, it's a dual band radio. Okay. Oh yeah, everybody always brings this up. I don't recommend them, to be honest. They're 25. So for me, oh, Medic Joe, that was Discord. So when I say I go do the Discord chat after the stream, that's where I go. I go to Discord. And Zach here has been posting in the chat the link. You just follow that link. That goes to the Ham Radio Crash Course Discord, which is where I post. Usually I'm on there every day. Yeah, go check it out. All right, so here's what I have to say about this, and it should be its own video. I have no problem with anyone buying a Baofeng and using a Baofeng. That's licensed. You can receive on it, of course, but transmitting on a Baofeng, if you're licensed, great. I feel that if you're going to take the jump to a mobile, it should be 50 watts. I recommend 50 watts. Now, I get it. This is 25 watts on 2 meters and 20 watts on 70 centimeters because look how small and cute it is. It's so cute. I get it. I've never used that radio per se, so I'm not going to besmirch it. But at the same time, I would just as well recommend you go and get yourself a 50 meter proper mobile radio. I get it. $83 versus $200. Okay, I get it. I understand. But really, I'm not the best reviewer for this type of radio because I've never used one. Could be great, but sometimes I get frustrated with Chinese radios. So I guess because I'm just used to the Baofeng that I'm okay with it. Maybe that's why. It's the enemy that I know. Yeah, so these guys are all... Okay, let's go back to 30. I always seem to have good luck with 30. And 30's not great. Just from looking at the... Not a lot of waterfall action there. A little bit. Yeah, so Zach brings up a good point. He says you can get a TYT 9800 on Amazon for about $200. It does 50 watts. Oh, wow. East Russia? Woo, hold on. EU Russia. We're going for it. 9 dB. 9 dB. We might get lucky here, or we're going to try. 9800 for 200 bucks. 9800 is what I have in my Xterra. Recommended. It was recommended when I did my mobile radio review. Highly recommended that radio. It's a good radio. We are crossing. Oh, I think he got picked up by somebody. Usually, you can tell people with big signals will pounce on European contacts, and if you don't see the European contact do CQ again like twice, that means they probably got pounced on. So they're probably trying to. Somebody's probably trying to work them. Oh no, that's Cuba. And somebody got him. -11. So that's what this. So it tells me what I'm doing on the right hand side, and if something comes up that station replies to another station, that means they're in a QSO, and the program will stop operating. Okay. Oh no, we're halfway. Yeah. The TYT 9800 when it came out a couple years ago got a lot of screen time on YouTube because it's inexpensive, and it's kind of a copy of a Yaesu that's also a very good radio. So, plus now here's the thing. I'll mention this about mobile, and then we're gonna move on to close out the program here. The Chinese radios are going to do. They're just going to be a dual band radio. They may have the ability to crossband repeat, and that's going to be it for them. They are not going to really have APRS or D-Star or some of the fancier other things that the Japanese radios have, and that's kind of how it goes. Is that going to be like that forever? No. I think that the Chinese radios are becoming more and more adept at picking up technology and repurposing them and bringing them into the fold, the Chi-Com fold, as it were. So I would not be surprised if we start seeing DMR mobiles, if it's not already a thing, which it probably is a thing. So I'm trying to see if we can get a quick QSO here. Okay, I got a QSO going. All right, so that red line means that I got a reply to my call sign. So somebody called CQ, which is this N5BCA, and I replied with my grid zone DM03, and they replied with a received signal strength of -12, meaning they got me at a -12 dB. I'm now waiting. I sent out -15, and there you go. QSO done. So what was this call sign for the sake of? Let's look it up. Who is this person I just QSO'd with? QRZ. Oh, is it going to make me log in? Oh, good. Washington. So there you go. QRZ's like Facebook for ham radio. If you don't have a QRZ page, you should go get one. This guy's got a cool little write-up. Apparently I have 5 new alerts. Is that QSLs? QSO! I got QSOs. QSOs. Look at all my QSOs. Excellent. I have a logbook on QRZ, and I also have a logbook on Logbook of the World, which that's not what you want to see. I want to show you. No, just show my profile. Come on. Oh, bro. Oh my god. It says your profile page. Just show me my profile. Oh, well. Okay, so that's this guy. All right. Chai Gung radios run an internal battery. Okay. I used to run a 10 watt mobile radio, but I upgraded to the FT7900 that has 50 watts, and I can hit so many more repeaters. Yeah, of course. I mean, it includes your antenna, of course. You're going to have a good antenna to go along with it, but KN4KBL. Okay, I'm going to do it. KN4KBL. I was asked to look up somebody's call sign. Carter! Oh, there's Carter Vlogs. All right. Very cool. Oh, now your address is on the internet. Sorry, I jumped off there quick. Medic Joe, right on. Okay, so let's go through. Let's go back through here. There we go. Put it back on the radio. Let's make sure I hit all the little things I needed to do in the notes section. Where's my notes? There's my notes. So I will close out with this for those that are watching. I want a couple of last points on digital. Turn off all your filters. Your notch filters, your noise blankers, turn them all off. Get it all off. You need that for single sideband. You need that for other things. You don't want that for digital. You're not the ears that matter. Your computer's ears are what matter. So get rid of that stuff. And you can see I have all of that off on my 7300. Right? Because I can go in here and I can hit notch. And I can, or that was noise blanker. I can hit notch. Don't do it. Okay? Bonding is very important. Bond your station, because what will happen is you will start to transmit on your radio. If your radio and computer are not bonded and connected over USB, you'll get interference, particularly in your headphones. You'll hear it as a buzz, a strong buzz. Bond it. And then simple is best. The easiest way of connecting your radio is the best way. A lot of people use the Signal Link device, which is a little like external sound card controller, kind of. Use it. That's fine. It's got little dials on the front of it that help you control the input and transmit tones. Great. Very, very good. So reminder. Oh no, we got to do the shacks. Before we do that, let's do the most important thing. Okay. So want to say big thank you. Ooh, we've got a. Is that, where is that? Is that over here? My green screen? Come on, green screen. There we go. Oh, bit of a crack. So a big thank you to all my $10 patrons. Thank you very much. You guys have helped pay for my third camera, among some other things like my microphone to my, well, part of the money went to the microphone. That's a little bit more expensive microphone. All of that would not be possible without the support there. So I super appreciate everybody on Patreon. Everybody, not just the $10 group, but the Brew Crew. Again, I'm not drinking beer, but I will be. But again, kombucha, drinking that too, and that all goes to it. And then, of course, the $1 patrons, thank you so much. I hope you are enjoying the newsletter, produced every month. Pay $1, get the newsletter every month. Pretty good deal. This month, we'll be talking about Field Day. Field Day 2018, which I will plug again. I am going to try to stream at least 12 hours straight. Really, somebody just texted me. Oh, it's Jerry. I got a text from Jerry. Hope Jerry's watching right now. I'm going to try and stream for 12 hours straight, which is going to be interesting. I need to figure out how to power my station and my laptop and all that fun stuff. So it's going to be fun. We're going to be making videos on that, and it's going to be a part of the newsletter. But need to definitely get started on that. So Ham Radio Crash Course, we're doing the HRCC shacks. I will have a contest. I was planning on closing it at the end of the month, but I might close it at the end of June to give people enough time. We don't have a lot of pictures on here, so if you can, go in and post on the Ham Radio Crash Course and use the hashtag HRCC on the Facebook group. Again, Ham Radio Crash Course, pretty easy. A couple of awesome ones. Dan Ford, look at this amazing antenna setup he's got. Hanging out with the antenna farm. That's awesome. That's insane. I want an antenna like that. I really like Ethan's. Like, look at this cool like shack he got built up here. He said, what was this, circa 2017? That's another story. But above that, here's what he was working on in his like either an attic or a shack or something like that. Very cool, very cool. He's got not a boat anchor, but older radios. Just getting out there and making it happen. Very cool. Now, 2017, he's got a pretty sweet go bag. Looks like an 817, Yaesu 817 in there. And another 8 Yaesu handy talkie with, I can't remember the model number. I believe that's the one with GPS, though. And now, 2018, he's in Madagascar. We talked for a while. He said he couldn't do a transmitting radio. He had to have a receiver only. So he had an SDR, but I sent him my up converter so that he can operate or at least receive signals from Madagascar. Jason, very clean setup. I wish my desk looked as clean as his does. He's got 2 HTs, got a PC, looks like he's running digital of some kind, and then he's got some kind of HF station, looks like a tuner above that, and then a power supply, which is pretty similar to mine. Another clean set. Oh no, this is Ethan and his SDR. Very cool. And I love the kitchen table setup here. Oh, shout out to I think it was Tom. Tom's in the chat. So these went like hotcakes, but let me hold this bad boy up. This is the 2017 ARRL handbook. Look how thick this thing is. Thick and heavy. Really heavy. So the ARRL handbook comes out every year. It's kind of like the Bible, the Bible for ham radio, and it tries to stay up to date. A lot of things are happening with FT8 that they try and work on. A lot of antenna plans in here. A lot of homebrew stuff. I got this thing on Amazon a couple weeks ago for $15. They were trying to get rid of all their old books because they're coming out with the 2018. And man, super cool. $15 for that book is dynamite. Brand new dynamite. I'm sure you could get a used one, and in fact, I am told by quite a few people that some of the older handbooks are even better than the current ones because they focused way more on building. People don't focus on building. Yeah, $15 with shipping. Killer. People don't focus on the building as much anymore, and I think that's a shame. Okay, what else? Thank you, everybody. Okay, so yeah, we're good. That was pretty good. Cut back a little bit on time, but I hope it was condensed and valuable and useful. So I'm going to head over to Discord right now. You're welcome to come on over there and hang out with me. And that's going to do it. We'll call that the Ham Radio Crash Course for what's today? May 18th. Cool, very good. All right, for everybody that's going to Dayton, make sure you hashtag me or post pictures on the Ham Radio Crash Course so I can be jealous of what you're experiencing out there. And that'll do it. All right. Take it easy, guys. See ya.